The world, historically, has been a game driven by empires. One empire is in charge for a period. At some point, that empire comes to an end. And you can go as far back as the Roman Empire, you can go even before then, and so on. At some point, Britain becomes a global empire, Great Britain. And it falls. When it falls, there are no ructions when the British Empire falls. Why? Because it hands over the baton to an Anglo-Saxon empire, a new Anglo-Saxon empire, which is America. So there are no ructions. That transition is very smooth. But typically when an empire falls, there are serious ructions in the world, and there's chaos, and there are wars. Now, America takes over. For about 120, 140 years, America is in charge. But now it has reached a point where it is falling. The American empire is falling. And it is aware that it is falling. But its explanation of why it is falling is wrong. It's completely wrong. It looks outside. It says we are falling because of an outside force, not inside. And by the way, that is the weakest point in American thinking. Every empire that has fallen historically has never fallen because of external forces. It has fallen because of internal weaknesses. So if you look at America as a society today, it's at its worst in terms of internal divisions. The Americans hate each other as if they are enemies. They can no longer have a civilized discussion with each other. They fight. And by the way, they are armed. They're just not shooting each other. But they are armed. So they hate each other. They are falling because they are weak. Then they externalize their internal problems. And they think that this fall is because of China. Right? Because why? China has studied the world and it has strengthened itself internally and it has been rising. And it actually realized that there are two levers of power that have sustained the US as a dominant force. Two. One, and this is number one, economics. Two, military power. China has built these two things. And by the way, Russia has ignored the first. That's why Russia is not a serious force in the world. So China has built its economy and China has built its military. And China internally, as a society, it's coherent. The Americans feel threatened, but they don't know how to respond. Then comes a crazy leader called Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a crazy man. I don't want to be deployed as an envoy to the US. So you can replay this thing 100 years from now. I don't care. Trump is crazy. And those who are around him can't think clearly. He doesn't have good strategists. So then they said, chaos theory. Let's just throw chaos across the world. And in the midst of that chaos, we'll rearrange things. And America is going to emerge as a superpower. They are mad. It's not going to happen that way. This chaos, when it ends, America will be the weakest vis-a-vis China. America will no longer lead the West. America will no longer lead the country. The world. And it will no longer lead democracy. In fact, what America is doing is it's actually discrediting democracy. The idea that democracy is a better governance model, Trump and them are destroying that idea. In fact, China's model, by the way, which is a managed progressive dictatorship, looks like a better model in the world today. So how does this end? It ends in the medium to long term with the strategic ascendance of China as a global leader. What are the implications for the world? The implications are China will be less interventionist in the way it deals with other members of the global community. Less interventionist and less prescriptive.
Yeah.
They won't tell South Africa what to do. So if South Africa, you have,
as long as they get what they want.
As long as they get what they want. If you are chaotic as a country, they will leave you with your chaos.
Yeah.
As long as they can extract whatever they want.
Yes.
So that's where we are going. You see, then you would ask, what would a country like South Africa do in the context of this chaos?
Exactly.
If South Africa had smart leadership, this is the time when we needed smart leadership. To say, you know what, all of these big forces, the China and the US are fighting, and Russia and all of that, Ukraine and so on, and Gaza and Israel. That's not our stuff. We had no business in starting those wars. We will not get involved, number one. Number two, we must strengthen ourselves internally, and we must do two things. One, we must strengthen our internal unity as South Africans. This is the time when we must be united, black and white. Number two, we must focus on fixing our economy because we are on our own. This new world, there will be no big brother that's going to support some smaller brother somewhere. We will be on our own. So we should be focusing on fixing our economy, making sure Eskom works, there is no load shedding, making sure Transnet works, making sure there is water, making sure our road infrastructure, everything that has unraveled our state, that's what we should be focusing on. And that stuff, by the way, cannot divide us. Do you want darkness in your house? No.
No.
Don't you want water?
I do.
A white person wants water.
Yes.
They want.
No, in fact, those are the things that unite us.
That's what we are supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, we have an incompetent president, Cyril Ramaphosa. We also have a disorganized and a chaotic biggest component of the GNU, the ANC. That's why South Africa is in this chaos we are in.
And what do you think? Who do you think they are mulling over as a potential replacement for Rasool? Because that's also has been an issue that has been done quite quietly about who becomes the new ambassador to the USA for South Africa.
Look, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the honest answer. But there are indications I'm seeing. These indications don't lead me to a name,
Yes.
but they lead me to a personality and a character.
Yeah.
The fact that Cyril Ramaphosa chose Mcebisi Jonas, who's the wrong choice, by the way,
Yeah, as you said.
I said, shows you that Cyril Ramaphosa does not get it. He does not get what is going on. Whoever is going to appoint ultimately as our ambassador to the US will be someone who is not going to repair the relations between South Africa and the US. If that's not where he was going, he wouldn't appoint Rasool. I can give you, I don't have ambitions to be a president. I mean, I don't want to deal with the kinds of problems that Ramaphosa deals with. But I do think about South Africa.
Yes.
Because I'm patriotic and I love this country. And I see myself dying here and my children also dying here. I would have appointed someone who is non-political, with no political history. Yes. Someone who is neutral.
Yes.
I would have found a retired businessman who has done some business in that person's life in the US.
Yeah.
Who knows the US very well. This person is non-political, but has been successful in that person's career as a business person. And when the Americans Google, they can't find anything political about this guy. All they find is that this person once did business in the US and is a successful businessman. If you do that, you would play with the psychology of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Donald Trump thinks of himself as a successful businessman.
Yes.
He would think, okay, wait a second. Maybe I should play golf with this chap.
Yeah.
And hear this chap out. Maybe there's some deal I can get.
Yeah.
But Cyril can't think.
Yeah.
And those around him can't think.
Yeah.
That's why they went for Mcebisi Jonas, who's complicating, who's muddying the waters even further.